Welcome to your Inspirational Astrology Horoscope for Monday, January 17th, 2022. I'm Astrologer Dave Palmer, the Leo King, here to illuminate the collective consciousness. Well, thanks so much for checking me out here. Of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, or of course, if you are a subscriber to High Vibe, I appreciate that. But if you want these videos every day and all of my other exclusive shows, weekly horoscopes, there's so many shows. Check it out. Go to highvibe.tv. Make sure that you subscribe so you get me every day and you get all the awesome shows and the awesome talent that are making awesome content here at High Vibe. Well, we are here on the full moon in Cancer. Quite an intense time to be around right now. We're going to go right into it. I won't keep you waiting. Yeah, that's right. We are at full moon energy, and it is the full moon in its home sign of Cancer, but in direct opposition to Pluto. So let's talk about this. We just had Mercury go retrograde, of course, on Friday, and it's been in square to the planet Uranus. This moon is in exact opposition to that Sun and Pluto, right? So this is intense, to say the least. We've got Venus retrograde, which is a rare transit, especially in Capricorn, once every 8 years. And that Venus retrograde was rare and went retrograde over this Pluto. Now we have the Sun on Sunday, just right before this full moon, that went over this Pluto. And it's interesting because this 27th degree here, this is the area where we have never been before with Pluto, where we're going to see this here in 2022. This is also where America's Pluto is. So you add to the mix that Mercury's been retrograding since Friday, and it's in square to Uranus. And the big news, of course, is Uranus is stationing in retrograde, but it is stationed direct tomorrow. So it is going direct. It is getting out of its retrograde tomorrow. And so things like the crazy volcano out of the ocean are like baby things that are going on. I know that might sound crazy, but this is a time in our life where, we're looking deep into the past. We got Jupiter, Neptune, and Pisces. Of course, Jupiter and Saturn were together all through the last year. Now they're not. And Jupiter is here, the ancient ruler of Pisces, with Neptune, the modern ruler. And the past comes up, especially with this full moon being in Cancer. There is this energy of, holy cow, like, not only are we about to step into facing so much of the deep and intense changes that have gone on in our world, it's almost like kind of like a graveyard with Sun Pluto of the past, and bringing up a lot of it and how to embody to move forward in our lives. This is kind of an odd full moon with, it's not really an exact quincunx because we are seeing a pretty big separation of orb, but that moon's coming off a quincunx over to Mars in Sag. There is, at the same token, the opposition, of course, to Pluto, which I really want to go deep into. We got that really odd angle it's not odd, but it's not bad, but we are seeing the Sun and the Moon, which are in aspect to the nodes, which are switching signs with Uranus going direct tomorrow. So talk about being on edge and where are things going, and watching this past of our lives and so much of our emotion trying to understand where it's all going. It doesn't know. And the confrontation of Pluto, you have to face this kind of reality check here of what has been and where you're at in the moment now and where are you going. And there is a little bit of this trying to just keep going and find the good thing about Pluto is it helps us, especially in opposition, to find that will within you to continue to move forward. It's also the energy of survival. This is definitely a time where, we could have, I think, definitely valid fears of like, am I going to make it? Am I going to make it in my life? But we got to remember that this is the will to find survival is about the will to survive. It's about the life to live. And we're at such a weird time in the astrology. It's so weird. I mean, this is the weirdest. If you thought 2020 was weird and 2021 was weird, this is kind of like both those years all like kind of compacting into this full moon and processing the last 2 years and going, what was that? And where am I at now? And am I going to be able to just keep going the way things are going? There are complex issues, of course, about moving forward with Saturn, of course, that's now out of its shadow in Aquarius, and Mercury that's close to it, retrograding, squaring Uranus, which is about to come direct in a day. I mean, we can't figure it all out. Like, we just can't figure it all out in one sec. We just can't just, get lost in our heads trying to figure this out. This is us putting a lot of emotional energy, a lot of our past, a lot of the energies that were, and finding, respect for them, finding that maybe they're the parts of our life that help us move forward. There's something beautiful about the past. There's something beautiful about what feels like home for us. And this is almost like the drive and the tenacity to get you to realize, if you've had these beautiful things in the past before and these things in life that you wish to have again, well, they're in different forms. And this is definitely a time for us to go really deep within ourselves. I mean, if you even look at these essential dignities here, I mean, we're seeing everything really powerful. This moon at +6 here, we got Saturn, of course, still ruling the powerhouse here. We got Jupiter here. That's +7. We got everything really pumping right now. Even with Venus retrograde, I'm surprised that Venus in Capricorn right now is getting that +5, but it is. This is definitely a time in our lives where the energy is cranked up all the way. But it almost could feel like we've been through so much cranked up energy for so long that, we've almost like learned how to settle into it. So for some people, it's kind of like, oh, okay. Bring it on. But I think that a lot of us have to realize that there's something different going. We're about to shift the nodes. We're about to see Uranus turn direct that literally is going to bring a shock to our system about moving forward and what is the energy of that's going to feel better in our lives. And it is very uncertain at this moment. What's certain is what the past has brought you, what has felt good before, what has been kind of this really eerie kind of moment here of like trying to almost like look at the past to see what's going to happen in the future, but we don't know exactly how it's going to play itself out. There's a lot of twists and turns. And there's a lot that we're revealing within ourselves, which can bring us great power right now, which can bring us great transformation. And it's going to have this deeper reflection on your personal life, the things that are connected with your personal life. Of course, whenever we're dealing with Cancer and Capricorn, this has to deal with our foundations and where we're going. But we have to remember at the same token, this is the sun in Capricorn with Pluto. And that full moon can really pull us to a place that we want to be. It can pull us definitely into that place emotionally where we want things to be. But that opposition of Pluto and especially the sun here in Capricorn are like, well, this is where it's really at, though, and these are the things that need to be done. And it's not easy. It's not necessarily at that step yet. And maybe it's not about going 15 million steps backward, especially with Uranus on its last day of being retrograde. This is not a time for you to lose it or get too, overly emotional about kind of feeling like you're not going to be able to make it forward in areas in your life. When we're looking at desires, we're looking at our relationships, we're looking at our money situation, we're looking at projects, we're looking at the will to find some sort of meaning at this moment. This full moon is all about realizing that if you've had great meaning before in your life, just using common sense, there's plenty of things in life still to offer you in even better ways than you even realize that have meaning. But in many ways, this is all about trying to find a deeper meaning in our life and a deeper meaning in this moment of finding really the only security is if you are committed to a place with meaning. And even though it could be like, these are just normal train tracks in our life that we run every day, it's almost like we're looking outside for all these things, or we're looking in the past, or we're digging in all these places to try and find some sort of new meaning, because it's almost like the meaning that we have in our life at this moment is almost kind of like, whether I would call it boring, or it's just redundant, or it's just like kind of that same cycle that keeps going. This is about maybe adding more power to the meaning that we already have, to the path that we already have, reflecting on our past, reflecting on our emotions, and realizing, it's okay if we don't know where it all is. This is a Mercury retrograde, square Uranus, or Uranus retrograde. It's about to turn direct, and Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde, and they're all in areas about relationships and the relationship with ourselves and the relationship with our emotions and the present, the world. And it's just kind of coming to this point here with even Mars and being in Sag, right? With the South Node about to leave, like there's this energy of just wanting to find this really big, hopeful adventure or this big, optimistic place. And that can definitely be found, but it's all going to be this last moment here of this big moment of truth of what has happened in your personal life. What is it that's forcing you to make changes and to embody a new energy within you, which really is just a transformation. It's taking energy and alchemizing it into the new. And so this is really where people definitely are changing their minds, their emotions change. Everybody's in a place where you don't know where you're really going to go at this moment because things are changing on the constant. Your feelings are changing. And so it's okay for you to do that and to not stress about the worries of what other people think with Mercury retrograde and with Saturn in Aquarius and the squares to Uranus and Taurus. I mean, like this is where you don't give up your values and your feelings and your deeper needs just because you don't want to, I guess, not really follow them. This is where we have to find, this is a stress test on the integrity of the whole of our soul. And this is the boat that has to keep going, that there's more out there. This is not a moment where we've lost the winds for the sails and we'll never get the wind again. This is not a moment where we can be too fatalistic of, I'll never have this, or this will never change, or this will never go in the direction I want to go. That's all an illusion that really we have got caught up in our beliefs with. And you can be easy on yourself knowing it's not been an easy 2 years. It's been tough. And the highest of energy that anybody could have ever felt tough-wise going all the way back to 740 years ago. I mean, this is, that was the last time that we had all those energies in 2020. It was literally 1284. I mean, so let's remember some of these things coming into this full moon. And the release really is that our foundations are changing based off the ever-changing part of ourselves, that the meaning in life is from the lessons we've learned, the way that the cards have been dealt, the karma has been playing out, and where we have to find our will to keep surviving and to move forward and to reach these higher steps. I mean, as we get higher and higher up Capricorn with Pluto here, and this being the last year where it's only in Capricorn. Remember, in 2023, we're going to see the ingress into Aquarius, and then, of course, retrograde back into Capricorn, and then of course by 2024 be fully in Aquarius. But this has been since 2008, and this has been a long ride, and it's gone through the most that we could ever see it go through, and we're still going through a lot, even with that Venus retrograde going on top of Pluto, and now the sun and a full moon. I mean, this is a lot just within the last month to have gone through, and feeling like we're in the mulcher, and this full moon is just looking for some sort of glimmer of feeling of connection. That's also the other part of a moon in Cancer, right? Especially when it's full in opposition to Pluto. It's yearning for connection. It's yearning for deeper feeling. It's yearning for so much, but it feels like it's at odds, or it feels like it's far away, or it feels like you got to climb and you don't even have enough energy up to go to see if something's even there, and you don't even know if it's going to be there or not. So this is definitely not a time for you to get lost and to release the moods and release the way that you kind of deal with the past here. You deal with your moods about where things can go. And we're already in such a divisive energy, whether it's in the world or within yourself, right? Like what side do I pick, or what side is right, or what side is the place that's going to find a foundation? This is us searching for deep foundation, but really the foundation is in the willpower of a meaning, the willpower of finding that energy within, and also knowing how to deal with our past, knowing how to deal with our emotional energies and how it's connected to, like, okay, I had my roots there because what was it? You completed some sort of meaning, or it had deep meaning to you. And then this is really where you have to realize that there is great meaning in life, and there is still great meaning that continues forward. And to not lose sight of that during this full moon, because it's going to not feel like you're at your strongest. And that's okay. Because if anything, that's what makes us stronger. And I think that this is going to be definitely a moment where you can't solve every answer right now, and everything is turning on a dime. The second that you think you figured it out, it'll be something different. And we got to go deeper and deeper and deeper and around and around and around and look in places that we haven't looked before. And also sometimes just not try and think about it, right? Just try and feel things through. Just try and accept. That's what the biggest part of Pluto is, accepting. So it's about a deep accepting of wherever you're at on the mood spectrum, wherever you're at in your mental, craziness of trying to figure it all out, learning to accept this moment. The release is learning to release what's not accepting this moment. The release is learning to feel comfortable within this moment of where you can find true willpower and true power and tenacity to move into an area that feels like you're carrying all the weight of the world, because really you're stripped away of what maybe the feeling is that was once had, whether you have an attachment to the world or an attachment to your own personal history of past. We want to be nurtured right now in a world that feels very unnurturing. It's almost like trying to go up to a fucking crazy insect here and get nurtured. It's like, no, it doesn't feel like that's not the place to go. That's also a big question, though, is like, who really are the weird energies out there that are messing with our minds and messing with our stuff? Do the bugs have anything to do with it? This is kind of creepy stuff also with the moon opposing Pluto and the sun on top of Pluto. Is what's behind the curtain for real? Where's the truth really at? What's behind the curtain, behind the curtain, behind the curtain? And sometimes we can become obsessed with this, but at the same time, it's like, I think we all want to have a definitive answer right now of anything in our life, of anything. And all there really is, you'll find them in the areas that have meaning, that step forward into helping and to creating. Remember, with this Venus retrograde, it's going back to 11 degrees. So we're a couple degrees away from it moving backwards, finally back to its stationary spot where it'll go stationary direct, but we're not there yet. By the end of January we will be, but here we are on the 17th, and we still got, about a couple weeks left, a little under. And so Venus retrogrades already on their own in Capricorn can be hard, because it's like Plato about our destiny right now. It's about Plato about, the certainty with people and the certainty with our direction, our values. And this full moon is definitely a challenge, but it's definitely one that can bring you a much more solid energy once you realize the surrender parts, but more importantly, that you're willing to accept and move forward and bring great meaning to even this moment. That I know it seems so crazy and it seems so wild and it seems so different at this moment, just like the world and how it feels. But if you really think about it, it's one of those moments where, gosh, we all go through our lessons in life. We all go through our karmic lessons. We all go through so many things. And it's like we always grow when we get bigger. And this is a big, big growing pain. But that means you're going to grow stronger. And the collective itself is going through its own growing pains at this moment. And, there's definitely a lot of energy here about, knowing the understanding of your values and realizing with Uranus and Taurus that's stationing, about to go direct, that not everybody on Earth, it's impossible for everybody on Earth to come up on the same value systems, especially if they're coming from the external. Now, we all have our moral codes. We all have our collective, deeper understandings of, things that we can definitely relate on with the same values that come from a good place that feel good. But at the end of the day, we're all unique and we're all different. And I think that this is definitely a time for us not to be in compare and contrast mode of what are you doing and what are they doing and what are they, it's all that Pluto energy anyways. It's all like your own creation of the facade of what you might interpret something as. So there could be a lot of misunderstandings right now about reflecting upon other people, reflecting upon, especially on social media, reflecting in all these ways, trying to find answers that aren't going to give you it on that. Assumptions, villainization, especially against your fellow brother and sister in this collective. Like, this is definitely, a time where the energy of what is truly not in alignment right now with compassion and honestly with real deep, honesty is really easy to see. And so, the universe is taking care of that on its own. This is where you got to focus on your own self, your own personal life, your own feelings, and how to really take this to the next level. And really also at the same time, there's energy that emotionally might not be fulfilling us and might not have meaning. And whether that is in a project, whether that is certain relationships, whether that is energy that just overall might just not feel really good to us, it becomes extremely clear. And that's where we have to let go, and we have to, not be afraid to actually take care of ourselves and nurture ourselves better instead of trying to, like I said, it almost like be like trying to nurture some crazy weird bug. You know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna happen. But why are you trying to still make it happen? Or why are you trying to figure out how to make it happen? Like, this is just not a time in life to try to continue to hold on to things that don't have the meaning that they once had. There's plenty more compassion with allowing something to be as it is and to surrender it with love than there is to try and love something or to try and create something or to try and fake an energy within yourself to another energy, to another person, to a project, to anything that just isn't in alignment with you. So I think that you're going to find that a lot of the power is going to come from stepping forward and finding, this makes me feel good. This is how I take care of myself because I'm willing to move that energy forward now. I've learned my lessons. I've seen the emotions I've had. I've seen all these things that really can bring me a much better power in my life, and I can move this. I don't need to know how it's all going to go. I don't have to have, Albert Einstein come up from the grave like a zombie and fucking get on his chalkboard and tell me how it's going to go. Because that's really what you're doing inside your brain every minute here. This is not about having fear. This is about realizing that maybe a little fear in life is actually the energy of what gives us the tenacity, the survival, and also the truth about going deep in self and going like, why am I so scared of this new frontier of reality? Why am I so scared of what could happen to me? I know that there's a lot of energy out there that definitely feels scary in that kind of way. But if you're in your truth and you're in your meaning and you're in your alignment and you're really in your destiny and you're really aligned with the connections that really feel like they have meaning to you, then what do you have to worry about? Especially that's where everything starts clicking into gear and the universe clicks into gear and all the things that you're going to need are there. But you're going to feel like lacquer thinner, or paint thinner on the wall when you're just continuing to erode away your emotions on things that you're not going to be able to get to the you're not going to be able to get to the primer, right? You're not going to be able to get to the primer right now and feel like the primer is going to do the job. So you can't be wearing a facade right now. You can't be facading about your life. You can't be trying to emotionally hang on to primer or hang on to some sort of energy in life that's just not there anymore, or it's not there and you're still in that energy and it's empty. It's hard. It reminds me of a stuffed dog or a stuffed cat and that you pet and that you're still trying to find life out of. It's like, when are you going to just move on and maybe throw the thing away and maybe find a new cat or maybe find a new dog, or find like a way to move out of this situation. And how did you get there? I know I'm not saying that's the exact truth. I'm just using an example, this is definitely where, we can take great reflections on beautiful things and find some great emotional power within us. And, this is not a time to be afraid within yourself to face whatever those emotions are within yourself of honesty and truth, because in those moments, that's where we can really start to at least move forward and at least have some sort of grip on where things are going, because we have that better reflection of what's possible. And I think that that's the best thing that we have going forward and the greatest thing always, but especially now. There's definitely not a time where, your strategy is going to come from because of how smart you are and because of like what you do. It's much more in that deeper realm and in that more intense realm that you're going to have to go in and purge and realize that this is a time for you to empower yourself, and also to put an ending to some feelings and to some past or some emotions that are just not there, that are just not going to be your end all be all. Like, there is this kind of checkpoint here with the Sun and Pluto and Capricorn at these last degrees here, right? That are very hard, where we have to grow up and we have to step into a higher part of ourselves with more integrity and things that have more integrity. It's almost like if we had a boat with a hole in it and you just kept plugging the hole. Like, do you want me to go dig up the Titanic and call it the unsinkable ship again? And would you trust me if I said that? No. And would you get on that boat? No. There's a lot of things that have been Titanics in our life that we thought were unsinkable, and they sank. And so, you know, instead of being James Cameron and be obsessed with all day just being down there and trying to figure it out, that could be fun and we could learn a lot from it. It's almost like you got to move on and make another movie. You know what I mean? You got to move on and continue to move on, that it's not just only about the Titanic anymore, especially if it sank. And so this is definitely testing a lot of energy out there. And I have a lot of faith in the collective, and I have a lot of faith in everybody out there to really be okay with, like, realizing, you know, the commitments that we make are the commitments right now to ourselves, and the commitments to the changes that we're making within ourselves, and the feelings that we're having of how to take care of ourselves better, about how we're going to move forward. This is not a time where we can, you know, get lost and worried about what other people think about that, or how, you know, or what other people's stuff are. When people ask for help, they're there for you. You'll be there for them or not there for them. If you need help, ask for it. There'll be people that'll be there, and there'll be people that aren't there. There's not a time to go try and be the hero and help people that aren't asking for it either. You know, and so because that's avoiding your own stuff that you have to do within yourself. You know, this whole collective great, like, you know, do for the collective moment right now. Like, you know, the best thing you could do for the collective right now is to get back on track with your emotions, your sanity, and your integrity for yourself, that you understand is from a divine place, not from this kind of social, kind of crazy, experimental Saturn square Uranus, Mercury retrograde in Aquarius square Uranus. That there is no fact that this is the moral compass of the world at this moment, to do this, and that's the best thing is to do. There's no evidence to that. Obviously, unless you have zero common sense and zero math. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and from what you actually see and feel in life. These are your feelings. These are your life. This is your life. These are your moments in your life. These are not based upon some sort of collective way of how, you know, you can get programmed into doing those things. And that could be, I think, the hardest emotional lesson for people at this moment, is when you've given away your power, you've given your trust, you've given your integrity away to energy that is not an understanding of any sort of stability of the best way forward, and also has been given a space of many years now of direction and not been correct at all. So are we going to keep this captain for the collective that's like kind of this like weird invisible captain of like, just keep doing this, stop complaining, and start being more, you know, whatever. If anybody is like that, okay, and forcing you to do things, they are not focusing on their own self. They're too afraid to focus on their own personal life. They're too afraid to focus on their own needs and wants, and they're fighting power, and they're finding some sort of weird control, overtaking the control of other people's personal lives and emotions. And that's the most fucked up thing on the planet today, happening in massive drones. And unfortunately, in our power systems and the way that this world is running. And that's the truth. And you know, it's sad to see people kind of just, you know, throw up. It's because a lot of people are based off this new world narrative at the moment, because that's their identity, because they never had one for themselves, or they got over that one for themselves. They actually dropped they're taking care of or their love for themselves and their identity and what they were. They don't like how it is. So they found this crazy, weird bug world way of doing things. And they forgot about humanity. They forgot that humanity is a very precious, but yet very driven and very unique collection of individuals that come together in their own unique ways. And that there is no one person, there is no one big shot on this planet that knows the best way for you and that is here to tell you this is what you must do. And there is no one size fits all in life to anything. You know how many one size fits all caps I've tried to put on? I'm like, nope, it's too big. I have a small head because I do have a small head. Oh, yeah. You know, people come to me like, oh, okay, you're 6 foot, you know, you're 170, 175. Like, you probably wear a large, right? I look like a fucking shrimp in that motherfucker. You put a large t-shirt on me. It's like the assumptions that, yeah, you're a large. It's like, no, actually, I wear mediums or pretty much I usually wear smalls because that's what fits. I'm not trying to fucking look like the next fucking rap video. Like, so, you know what I mean? Like, people are just trying to apply a lot of this crazy shit, and you got to let go of that. You got to get out of that. Like, how much more evidence do you need? How much more evidence do you need of this world right now at this moment? There's been a ship that's trying to take us off on its course and saying it knew the shortcut, it knew the best way, and it didn't. And so it's affecting people's lives. It's affecting this is where you have to realize it's okay if you got suckered. It's okay if you got suckered, and it's hard. It's hard. People have integrity issues, right? They don't want to ever be embarrassed. They don't want their recognition or other people to know, like, oh God, you know, I'm part of this team that's against the reality and against humanity and against the world and trying to smoke screen it. This is definitely your moment here to get the power back into yourself. And know what's best for you and stop looking outside for what that is. That's actually the biggest social problem and health issue on the planet right now is people looking outside instead of inside and within themselves how to fix their life or how to get forward. And also as the nodes are at these last final, you know, day and a half here of being in these places of the mind, like playing the mind game of this is that you have to figure this out. And because of this, like if we're going to listen to ourselves 5 years from now and listen to well, no, it's this and that, and this is the story, and this is the mind, and this is the way we change this, and because of that, and that became a variant of that, and we're going to look at ourselves like we are, our culture was fucking lost it and was insane. And people have lost the power to survive. You know what you're going to survive with the most in this life is the power to take care of yourself, to understand a meaning for your life, and not a collective meaning that's a narrative, but the meaning of how you serve the collective in your own way and the freedom to be able to do that. Without having to fucking use some crazy chalkboard and look at some crazy fucking experiment shit of life. This is like, the experiment of life is an experiment itself. And the wonders that come in epiphanies, not planned. You know, the best experiment that ever happened was Albert Hoffman looking for cures that ended up finding LSD. I mean, like, that's more, you know what I mean? And it was like he was being bum rushed to the fucking lab. When you're bum rushed to the lab, what do you think you're going to get? Think about your own life. When people are pressuring you to be a certain way in your life and you feel pressure that you have to be a certain way in your life right now, do you really think you're going to get in your meaning of life? No, you're going to not figure it out. You're too pressured. This is a moment where the pressure's built up so high that, you know, this is a moment where you got to go like, you know what, let me just like, do I even want to be in a lab? Do I even want to be science is doing this, or do I want to go do it from the way that makes me feel good and that brings me some sort of meaning, not because what was told to me on television. So let's see what the cards are for this full moon. I'll be doing spiritual dance music tonight. And then Leo King live. First card that we got for this full moon in Cancer. Wow, we got the 2 swords upright. So, you know, we're definitely going in some really weird directions. We don't know where we're going. What is it? Oh, we got a King of Pentacles reversed. Yeah, we don't know how this whole reality is going to turn up and how it's going to create. We also we got to remember whatever choice we make, that we're not making a choice that's taking away from our greatness and our understanding of where we are, or we're putting our self-worth down the hole. Like, we don't want to take on any situation or any road right now where it's like, I'm just giving my self-worth away and I'm just going to, you know, this is a better way. Maybe some outer energy can figure it out for me. Definitely not. Our challenge card is the Knight of Pentacles. Wow, and we got that upright. So I'm feeling like our challenge definitely here is, you know, feeling like how to move forward. This is the journey that life never stops moving forward. It can feel like it's going backwards, but the truth is it's always going forward. Just the same way the illusion of a retrograde is. The planets are always moving forward. That I think that this is a moment for us to really go, you know what? This is a moment where we have to realize we hold the value of like who we are. We remember the power that we can make it through this life, that there is, of course, hardship. There are things that happen, but this is a moment for us to not get lost in our decision-making on trying to bail out on our own life and bail out on the journey in which got a little bumpy, and to keep pushing forward into the direction that truly is in alignment with our truth, not where we're giving it away and we're giving it away to too many outside energies that are not really creating the energy that really is of ourselves, or we're putting ourselves in emotional places where, you know, we don't feel like we have the ability to create. We don't have the ability to make things happen because we want to, we become too tired, or we become too afraid to move and understand our worth and our value. Our overall card we got is a 10 of Swords in reversed here. I'm feeling like we're definitely at a weird place where, I mean, all we want to do is kind of have things kind of come to an end, but they're not. But does that mean that we stop moving forward in life? What is it that you want to come to an end? Maybe this is a moment where instead of looking at something that needs to end, maybe you're overthinking about that thing way too much, right? And you're stuck on it too much. And that's the problem. Nothing ends until you finally stop looking at something that needs to end. So when you continue to keep looking at something, this needs to end, this needs to end, it's like that's your issue. It won't end until you just stop focusing on it. Stop using your mind on it and stop running the same repetitive place. Our spiritual advice card that we got here is 7 of Cups. I mean, did get it in reverse. I like this card because it is saying, you know, we got to fill ourselves up. We got to find the good energy that we really want in our lives. Or maybe we don't need to even find it at all. We have to remember that we have it. We need to stop like looking outside for all these dreams and all these great prizes and all these emotions, as we could feel super empty when we're not. You are filled with so much. You have so much to be. You are so much. I just feel like this is a moment for us to not give your sovereignty away, or feel like that this life is not offering just amazing things that are already within you. You have to remember who you are at this moment. You have to remember why things have happened and transpired in your life, because it's always to give you more growth, more power, and more integrity and more meaning. And it's about remembering that in this moment and moving forward and not taking that meaning away. And even, I'll be honest with you, not getting lost into what do I do, instead of maybe looking at it like, yeah, there are some forks here in the road, but I'm always going to pick the one that definitely feels the most of integrity to me, because it came from my own narrative, my own energy, my connection with the divine, and my connection with what is meaningful to me. Not because other people are telling me that I got to put this meaning first, this agenda first. No, this is where, especially those that are really kind of at their end, or they're feeling like I don't have any other option. You know, there is always another option if you look at and be curious about it from other angles, or look at things from different ways, instead of feeling like you've run out of solutions. Like, it's like maybe you just like step outside and get away from that chalkboard for a minute and stop focusing on it and move your energy into what feels good to you and what really you're getting to the bottom of right now, that's helping you empower yourself instead of disempower yourself. I appreciate you all very much. Hope to see you, of course, on High Vibe. I will be doing spiritual dance music tonight. And I can't emphasize enough how intense a lot of this energy is going to be with Uranus stationing retrograde to station direct right after this full moon coming into tomorrow, and the nodes finally moving into an 18 new month cycle. So, this is going to be where we have to remember value number one, and truth and value, opposed to beliefs and trying for a quick transformational thing. Pluto and Capricorn reminding us it's not some quick thing. Your past is showing you how long the transformation has been. So I appreciate you all. I'll see you all soon. Much love to you all through these times and all the time. Adios.